Welcome back to another episode of Get Rich, the podcast helping you do just that. Get rich and stay rich. Woo! I'm your host, Molly Benjamin, and today we are talking about something which is both exciting and a little bit dangerous. Bonuses. I don't know why it's a little bit dangerous, but let's stick with it. Look, we've all been there. The money hasn't even hit your account, but you're expecting a bonus and boom, you've already spent the money in your head. But what if I told you how you use that bonus could change your financial future? Now, joining me is Jess Brady. She's a financial advisor, money expert, and most importantly, someone who knows exactly what to do when a lump sum lands in your lap. She's going to be sharing the smartest ways to make your bonus work for you without sacrificing the fun. Plus, we're also going to get into the truths about debt and how to make sure it's not secretly eating away at your future wealth. This is such a great episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the conversation. Hi, Jess. Welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much, Molly. Always delighted to be in your company.
Oh, love it. So today we're going to be chatting about bonuses. So when you get a bonus, it's very tempting to spend it all straight away. And it's also very easy to spend it all in your head before you've even received it, or actually have spent that money because you're like, well, I know I'm getting this bonus. So what I want to find out from you is when it comes to our bonus, how, and if we are lucky enough to get a bonus, what is the best way we can make sure we're using it wisely? Do we save it, spend it, invest it, do a bit of both? What do you reckon?
Well, I think firstly, especially when you're talking about something like a bonus, it's not free money. It's normally because you've worked really hard and therefore, you've either met your KPIs or exceeded expectations and you've been remunerated for it. So let's be very clear. This is not free money that's just fallen from the sky. You have worked your butt off for it. And therefore, we need to make sure that we've got a game plan that really respects your time. Now, Molly, if you ask me as a financial advisor, what should you do with it? Of course, I'm going to give you a boring, you should do all of this prudent adult financial things. However, I've been doing this too long to know that that's really not something that people get wildly excited by, which might be a surprise to you. So I think instead we need to do a bit of everything. Now, this isn't an exact science or formula, but what I have seen work best, and this goes for, I don't know, be it a bonus, a commission, a tax return, any sort of lump of money that you get, we want to have a predetermined formula for how we spend it. So I like to think of it almost like a pie graph. And if you're a visual person like I am, actually make a little pie graph. And the reason that I think this is important is anytime I find where we have an opportunity to self-sabotage, we sometimes do. Whereas when we can take the thinking out of it, and we know, okay, great, any additional monies that I get, here's my strategy for it. It means that A, we take that sort of burden, if you will, off the table, and B, we can get excited about how we're allocating our joy money. So practically what I would say to you is 50% should go to an important financial goal, be it, I don't know, boosting up your emergency savings if you don't have that nailed just yet. Maybe you've got bad debt that you want to get rid of. Maybe you're saving for a house deposit, whatever it is. Let's give a giant chunk of that lump of money to that really important goal of yours and think about how good it's going to feel when you achieve that goal. Really think about how that's going to feel. So that will motivate you to be like, yep, a big chunk needs to go to that. I then think about 30% needs to go to investing in you. So you are the goose that lays the golden eggs, if you will. And so think about what could you do that's going to improve your skills, either to mean that you could earn more money in your current role, get a promotion, maybe it's going and doing more education, maybe it's learning how to invest and investing in going and doing programs like you and I have, something that's going to pay dividends in the long run. And of course, we're human. I think you're allowed some joy money. So I think about 20% should go to things that are going to give you sustained happiness, not like a quick sugar rush fix, but something that you're going to invest your money in that's going to make you happy, not just for now, but for later.
So one of the reasons I started Ladies Finance Club in the UK, and I remember it so clearly, it was a conversation I had with one of the girls in my team, and she had just got a bonus at work, and I said, awesome, what are you going to do with it? And she said, I'm going to buy a designer handbag. And I said, okay, great. I said, do you have investments? She said, no. I'm like, do you own property? She said, no, I don't. I'm like, do you have emergency money? She's like, a little bit. So I'm going to buy this handbag. And I just remember being like, this feels so wrong. And it was from that moment, I was like, again, I say very openly, this was in a bank as well. So I was working in a bank, and this was one of the ladies who worked in the bank with me. And for me, that was one of the turning points to be like, there's got to be something better you can do. So I love that, where you get to spend a little bit on yourself. So you get that kind of sugar rush, you get that, hit, but then you've got that money going towards the long-term goals as well. As far as putting money aside from tax, how does that work?
Yeah, so I think whenever you get a bonus and they give you the number, just take a deep breath and remember that is not going to be the number, alas, that lands in your bank account. It's going to be washed through the tax system. So normally you would get a bonus in one big hit, and you tend to be taxed as at a higher rate, almost thinking that like that's your normal income. So sometimes you can get a little bit sad and despondent when you see the amount that kind of lands in your lap after it's been through the tax net. So what I would say is, like, don't make any plans until that money goes into your account. And if you can, I always advocate for having like a master income account. So that account just has one purpose. It gets your money and it feeds it to other accounts. And so it's really easy then for it to be, I hate using the word in this post era that we live in, but quarantined. Can we say that word anymore?
Yeah, I think we can. Hopefully too many people go into like post-traumatic.
Yeah, sorry if I've like now triggered you. But what it will mean is that it doesn't just land in your everyday spending account for you to, open at the shops and be like, oh my gosh, the money's landed. Now I can go and have that spree and buy the bag and all the things. Like, we want to be really considered. Remember, it is not free money. You've probably traded off your most precious resource, which is time, to get it. Yeah. Even if it's not based on your specific performance metrics. Let's say your business has done really well.
Yeah.
You're still part of that ecosystem. And so it is really important that you think through, okay, it's not free money. I've worked really hard for it. How do I be considered? And of course, you can taper and change those ratios however you want. I just have always found looking after future you, investing in you, and having some money for fun, because otherwise what I know is people go rogue and spend the whole damn thing. I think it's a nice way to feed lots of different areas of your life without sabotaging one completely.
Yes, I love that. And I think as well, it's such as you said, wait till it hits your bank account, because it might be a different figure to what you were going to spend.
Especially if it's a large bonus, because let's say you're on a tax bracket that, I don't know, let's say you're on the 30% tax bracket, but you're getting a large amount of money. And it means that for that particular pay cycle, you've been taxed like you're on the highest tax bracket. You might get a little bit of a shock to the system, and it's better to be excited and rejoice at the number that's in your account as opposed to, oh, damn it, that's nowhere near what I had mentally mathed it would be.
Yeah. Which I think probably happens a lot from conversations I've had. And with debt, like, let's talk a little bit of debt. So obviously there's different types of debt. You've got your bad debt with the high interest rate, so your credit cards, buy now, pay laters, all that kind of stuff. And then you've kind of got your good debt, which is when you've invested in yourself. Maybe you've bought a property, you've bought an asset with it. So in regards to if you get a lump sum and you've got debts, how does that work as far as like what should be the priority?
Yeah. So as you say, like, there are different types of debt, and debt as a concept it gets a bad rap. Like, debt is neither good nor bad. It needs to be respected though. It's how you use it. So if we're buying, frankly, like shit that goes down in value, it's the technical term.
And buying shit is normally like you wore it, you drank it, you partied it, you holidayed it.
You drove it. Like, anything that does not increase in value, does not provide us with an income, I class that as bad debt. You can come at me because people love to tell me that a car debt's not a bad debt. And I'm like, you drive that thing out of the showroom and it goes down in value. It costs you money. It's not an asset. It sits on the liabilities side of things in my mind. So what I tell people to think about is, breaking them into categories. I actually like to break them into 3 categories. So I look at good debt against an asset that either grows in value or gives us an income. Bad debt, as you say, like a car loan, a personal loan, what have you. And then I have created my own new category called toxic debt. And that is this wildly addictive, that sugar rush that I was talking about before. And that's like your buy now, pay later schemes, I guess, loans, debts, because we become really addicted to them and we go around in cycles. So the practical thing you need to think about when it comes to debt is, what is the purpose of the debt? Which category does it fall into? And then if you've got multiple debts, we got to get a bit strategic. Which is on the highest interest rate. Now, there are different ways you can tackle debt. Again, the numbers part of my brain, and most financial advisors will say, cool, tackle the highest interest rate first. That makes the most sense. Research into the humaning component of us actually suggests that you tackle the smallest debt first.
Yeah.
And that is because it gives us that little dopamine hit that's like, we have paid this off. I've nailed it. I'm so clever. Now, obviously, the pro tip here is to burn that card. Like,
Plastic surgery, cut it up, get rid of it.
And then start on the next lowest one. But you do want to do a bit of an audit. I don't know about you, Molly, but what I find really fascinating, a lot of people that do my programs who come to me in debt, they actually don't, they're so scared about their current situation. They don't have a total view of the debt that they're in. They don't know the interest rates and they don't really have a plan. It's almost become so burdensome. They don't know where to start, so they don't. And if that is you, just start with the smallest amount of debt. Obviously, pay your minimums on everything.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that you can start to snowball. Once that smallest debt's done, use the money that you were paying off for that card or whatever it is to then fight the next one. And I think progress over perfection. You're going to muck up. You're going to have days where you don't exactly stick to plan. That is not your signal to just like throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
You can go online and find these beautiful like debt artworks. I don't know if you've seen them. Print them out, put your debt amount on them, and maybe you want to split it by card or type of debt. And every time, whether it's you pay off $100 or $1,000, depending on where you're at, you visually draw it. So you can actually chart your progress. I think it's a really great way, A, to visualize where you're at on that journey, but also to be really proud of how far you've come and to fight to keep going. Because you know, I've watched people in tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars of bad debt. Sometimes it can feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel and that the slog is hard and real. You need to be able to look and see where, you know, in the rearview mirror where you've come from. Yeah. And give yourself that boost to be like, holy shit, I've done so well. There is no way I'm stopping after all of the hard work I've done thus far.
Absolutely love that. And we actually have a similar debt template people can download from free. And it's a bottle of Prosecco and you color in the bottle of Prosecco. Then when you get to the top, you can buy yourself that bottle of Prosecco. Celebrate.
Beautiful.
Like that. I love that visualization and that, especially everyone's brain works differently. I'm a visual person. And I think as well, once you write that amount down, you color in that section, it's very hard to go back on that.
Totally. And it sounds silly. Like I've had a number of people be like, oh yeah, that sounds cute, but like coloring in is not my thing. And I'm like, same, but just try it. With all of these things, just try something. And then if it doesn't work for you, as long as you're consistent about trying it, that's fine. You've just got to figure out what sticks for you because money and managing money is going nowhere. So you best figure out what you're going to do and what hacks really make your journey a happier, healthier, smoother one.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that visual reminder as well, I've started doing this because I saw a stat the other day that we look at our phone 58 times a day, which is crazy. I mean, I totally believe it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's probably even more. But I'm like, every time I open my phone, I get hit with my vision board. So maybe if getting out of debt is something that you're working on, it could be a mantra, it could be a quote. So then you're getting hit with that like 58 times a day for X amount of times. It's going to keep your brain primed. It's going to keep you on track. It's amazing how powerful that daily hit can be.
The RAS system of our brain is insane and it's done at a subconscious level. So having that as your screensaver, as an example, yes, sure, you may have the thought of, oh, all of those things are really what I'm working towards. But even if you don't actively note that that's your thought, at a subliminal level, what the research shows is that you are subconsciously, if the goal is really what you want, you're making micro decisions, whether you realize it or not, to push you towards that goal, which is fascinating. Like, let's use all of these science-based brain hacks to get us on track faster.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Jess, that's been such a great kind of download of what we can do with a bonus and then also chatting about debt. Guys, make sure you check out the next episode with Jess because we're going to be talking all about HEX debt because you guys have been hitting me up with lots of questions around HEX. So we're going to be breaking it down with Jess. Thanks so much, Jess.
Thank you.